Hey everyone, it's Carissa Wiley at sprinkledwithglitter.com. Thanks for joining me today. Today I am sharing an adorable, super sparkly shaker card featuring brand new products from Pretty Pink Posh. This video is a part of a video hop happening on YouTube, so make sure that you check out the description below for all the details. Now here's a look at some of the products just released from Pretty Pink Posh for their August 2025 release that I'll be using on this card project. Keep in mind the release is big, so there is so much more than what I'm showing you here, and I have links to all that in the description below. That is the Spider Friends stamp and coordinating die set, and this is a look at the Halloween Greetings stamp and coordinating die set. I'll be using that today. And I'll also be using the spider web cover plate. I think this is so adorable. And here's a couple of the shaker mixes that are in this collection. Now, I took this Spellbound shaker mix and kind of color matched it to some cardstocks. So I'm using Orchid, Tide Pool, and Pistachio. I also have Mulberry, and for the spider web, I'll be using that Diamond Glitter cardstock. I'll have links to all those cardstocks in the YouTube description so you can track those down as well. So I'm going to start with the spider web cover plate and the diamond glitter cardstock, and I'll be die cutting this using my Anna Griffin Empress machine. Now, when I'm cutting a thicker glitter cardstock like this, I like to include the metal shim, so that's what I'm doing. And when I ran that through my die cut machine, I got a beautiful cut on this diamond glitter cardstock. So I'm just gonna pop out all of these inner pieces. You can see they're falling out really easily. That metal shim really does make a difference when you're cutting through a glitter cardstock like this. And there is a look at the finished piece. Now I'm going to do a little bit of stamping. Now, a lot of times when we look at outline stamps, we think, I really have to use like markers and things like that to color these in. But today I'm actually just going to use some colored cardstock to bring a little bit of color to these images. So I'm starting out with the mulberry there on my right side. This is the orchid that I'm stamping the little spider onto because I really didn't know what color I wanted him. I also have some fog cardstock, and all of these I have prepped with a powder tool. I'm using black obsidian pigment ink from Altenew because it's a beautiful, crisp black pigment ink, and I'm going to be doing some clear heat embossing over all of these images. I also have that trick or treat greeting that's from the Halloween Greetings stamp set. And once I have all of these images stamped, I'm going to cover them with some clear embossing powder. So I'm just sprinkling on some super fine detail clear embossing powder. This is from Wow. And once I have all of these stamped images coated with embossing powder, I can use my heat tool to melt that powder. Now, when you're working with embossing powder, you just want to melt it until it's smooth and shiny, and then you want to move on. So you can see I'm not spending a lot of time in any one area. I'm keeping my heat tool moving. You can see it turn from kind of granular and cloudy to really shiny. And once this is cooled, I'm going to take a microfiber cloth and just clean off any of that excess powder tool so that there's no haze on this cardstock. Now that I have all of my stamped images ready, I am lining up the coordinating dies from the coordinating die sets. I'm holding them in place with a little bit of Best Ever craft tape, and I did end up trimming these pieces down before I sent them through my die cut machine, and you can see I have some beautifully die cut images. Now, I ended up actually using the fog colored spider, which I think was the great choice for this. And I also used the coordinating die from that sentiment to die cut some Tide Pool, Pistachio, and Orchid cardstock. And I'm going to stack those up with a little offset to add some color to this card. Now, to add a little shading to my spider, I am carefully adding some Copic marker in a warm gray. I have a darker warm gray and then like a warm 0 or a W0 marker just to give this spider a little bit of life. This is kind of a cheat code for me. I don't want to have to color the entire image and take my time. So I'm starting with a colored cardstock and I'm using a marker that's just a little bit darker. I'm not worried about getting this perfect. I'm just making sure that there's some dark places and there's some light places on this image. Now, when you are coloring with a embossing powder, you want to keep your tip clear of the embossing powder, so I didn't go all the way up to the line. Now for the shaker window, I have this spider web cover plate. I've added some liquid glue at the back side, and I'm placing a piece of acetate on the back of this. I've also stacked up those colorful die cuts for the greeting and my little spider here, and I've connected them all together with some liquid glue. You can see I also used the little candy bucket and the lollipop from the Spider Friends stamp set to create a little bucket there and a lollipop for his hand. Now on the back side of the shaker window, I am adding some strips of foam adhesive, and I'm just making sure that the corners connect so that I have a nice place for all of my shaker bits, or the shaker guts as I like to call them, to kind of be enclosed. I am using the little shaker beads, which add a lot of fun and a lot of movement to a shaker card, but they are smaller, so you want to make sure those corners are nice and sealed. Once I add the foam adhesive to the back of my shaker window, I'm also using the leftover bits on the back of my stacked up die cut images there. Now, I kind of went back and forth on the card base, and I am so happy with what I ended up choosing in the end. This is an A2 size card base created from some orchid cardstock, and I'm blending with some Altenew Cosmic Berry ink around the edge using a large 1-inch blending brush. I just wanted to add a little bit of moodiness to the front of this card since it is a Halloween card, but I wanted to keep it happy moody. You know what I mean? So I used the Cosmic Berry, and then I added a little bit of jet black, and that made my heart happy. I did this directly onto the card base, and now that I have that ready, I'm going to take a scoring tool from Altenew. You could use your Misty stamping tool, and I'm going to place the shaker window up into the upper left-hand corner of that, and I'll remove all the backer from the foam adhesive. Now this is going to help me line up this card base with the card front and get everything kind of situated exactly where it needs to be. I'm starting out by adding the Spellbound shaker beads into the shaker window here, and I'm being very careful that I don't accidentally sprinkle something onto my exposed foam adhesive. I also have some silver mini stars from Pretty Pink Posh and some sparkling clear confetti, which is one of my favorites for a shaker element, but I love this little mix that I created. I think it's fun to take these shaker beads and mix them with something sparkly to create your own custom mix. So now that I have my shaker guts inside of the shaker window, I'm going to take my card front and nestle it up into that upper left-hand corner so that all the edges line up, and I'll press that down onto that exposed foam adhesive, and that gives me a perfect lineup of my card front and my card base. And look at all that colorful and sparkly shaker elements inside. So now that's ready to go, I can take the grouping that I created with the stamps and the die cuts, and I'll place this onto the card front. Remember, that has a little bit of foam adhesive on the back, so there is a bit of dimension. And that finishes off my super sparkly shaker card today, featuring some brand new Halloween products from Pretty Pink Posh. I absolutely love all the shine on this card between that glitter cardstock and that custom shaker mix that we created by adding a few things in there together. I think this is just such a fun and happy Halloween card. Your next stop on this video hop is the very adorable Carly T, so make sure you check out the YouTube description below for a link to her video as well as information on how to enter the giveaway. I'll also include links to all the featured products used in this project in the YouTube description below, so if you're looking for something in particular, be sure you check there. As always, I want to say thank you so much for stopping by and hanging out with me today. I hope you enjoyed this very happy Halloween project. If you did, be sure to give this video a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notifications here so you don't miss any of my paper crafting, card making, and live stream video tutorials. I am so glad you're here. Leave me a comment below. Let me know if you enjoyed this project. Thanks for stopping by, and until next time, I hope you have a fabulous day. Thanks for sticking around to the very end. You know, if you've made it this far, you are one of my favorites. To subscribe to my channel, go ahead and click the button on the left side of the screen. And here's a couple more video tutorials I thought you might enjoy.